Good day, students. Welcome to mathgotserved.com. And this clip, we're going to be going over question number 5 of our 2017 AP Calculus multiple choice guide. We're going to be taking a look at how to find the derivative at a point using the chain rule. Alright, so there goes question number 5. If f of x is equal to cosine of x squared minus pi, then f prime evaluated at the square root of 4 pi is. To get started, let's consider the formulas that will be guiding our problem solving process. The first formula we're going to look at is that for finding the derivative at a point. Now you want to remember the fact that finding the derivative at a point is a two-part process. First of all, you have to find the derivative at any x value. And then secondly, you have to evaluate your derivative at a specific x value. Okay, so you do your calculus first before you do your algebraic and arithmetic computation. The second formula we need to know for this problem is the chain rule formula. The chain rule is the differentiation process for composite functions. So let's say you have the composite function f composed with g of x, and you want to find the derivative. What you do here is you split up the function, you isolate the outer function and the inner function. You differentiate both of them, and then what you do is you evaluate the derivative of the outer function at the inner function. Basically plug in the inner function into the derivative of the outer function, that is also known as f prime of u. That result multiplied by u prime, or the derivative of the inner function. Okay, so the chain rule formula is f prime of g of x, or often referred to as f prime of u, multiplied by g prime of x. The derivative of the outer evaluated at the inner times the derivative of the inner. Okay, so let's keep these two formulas in mind as we work on this problem. Now, to start us off, we're going to write down what we're looking for. We're to find f prime of root 4 pi. So to do this, we have to break this up into a two-part process. First of all, we have to find the derivative, find f prime of x. And then secondly, we have to evaluate the derivative at a specific input value, which is root 4 pi. Alright, let's start with the first part, which is to find the derivative. So we want to find f prime of x. Okay, so f of x is a composite function. Remember, composite function is a function inside a function. So cosine of x squared minus pi. We have a trig function composed with a quadratic binomial. So we're going to use the chain rule here. Outer function, let's call that f. The outer function is cosine x. And then the inner function is g of x. Let's call that x squared minus pi. Alright, so we differentiate both. F prime of x, derivative of cosine is negative sine. And then the derivative of x squared minus pi is 2x. Alright, so we're going to evaluate the derivative at the inner function. So the derivative of the outer evaluated at the inner, basically plug in the inner function into the derivative of the outer and multiply the answer by the derivative of the inner function. Alright, so this will help us determine what f prime is. F prime is going to be, we can put the 2x first, so negative 2x sine, instead of x, plug in the inner function, x squared minus pi. Alright, so that's f prime. Now step 2, we're going to evaluate the derivative at root 4 pi. pi. So what does that mean? We're simply going to plug in root 4 pi into all the x's in the derivative function. So f prime of root 4 pi is going to be, so negative 2x will be negative 2 times root 4 pi multiplied by sine of root 4 pi square minus pi. Okay, so this becomes, we can root the 4 and root the pi, so this could become negative 2 root 4 root pi sine of, if you square the square root of 4 pi, square and square roots are inverse functions, so they basically take each other out. So these two take each other out, and we're left with 4 pi minus pi. Okay, and let's simplify further. Here we have the square root of 4 is 2, so negative 4 root pi times sine of 3 pi. Okay, so what is sine of 3 pi? You can either use your unit circle, or you can graph the trigonometric function to determine what the answer is. Okay, so let's graph the sine function. We know what the sine function looks like. The sine function looks like an S, so it oscillates between 1 and negative 1. So if we graph it, it's going to look like this. So let's draw it. So your sine function looks something like that. The max through the center. Draw that again. So that's pi. And then we have 2 pi. So let's see. So it's pi right there. And through the bottom, that's 2 pi. And then from here to here to the maximum, that's going to be 3 pi. Alright, so here's pi. 2 pi, a complete period for your sine function, and this is 3 pi right here. So we can clearly see that sine of 3 pi is equal to 0. Okay? Or you can just use your unit circle if that's what you prefer using. All you just have to do is figure out where 3 pi is on your unit circle. Alright, so you have to recall that pi represents 180 degrees. So we have to locate 3 pi. So if this is 0, if you go 180 degrees, that's 1 pi. If you go 360 degrees, or 2 times 180, that gives you 2 pi. If you go another 180, that gives you 3 pi. So 3 pi is going to be right here. The coordinates of that point coordinates are for the x negative 1, and then for the y 0. And we know that the y coordinate is your sine, y sin. Y coordinate is your sine of 3 pi. And then the x coordinate is your cosine of 3 pi. Okay? So we can clearly see that sine of 3 pi is also 0 using the unit circle. So whichever method you like, you can implement. Okay, so we're going to substitute the value of 0 here, and we're going to end up with negative 4 pi times 0, which is equal to 0. So our final answer for this question is option letter A. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this presentation. Let us know what you think. If you found the contents of this tutorial helpful in your preparation for the upcoming AP exam, do give us a thumbs up. Your positive feedback is very valuable to us. If you have any questions, comments, or requests for calc tutorials, just post it in the comment section below, and we'll be more than glad to assist. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for updates to other cool math tutorials such as this. If you want to gain access to the entire practice test, take a look at the description for the link, or just go directly to this link, or you can scan this QR code to the left. Thanks again for watching and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.